Hey, all right. So Houston is looking pretty serious with Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green, and my dark horse favorite player Christian Wood. Um, what are your thoughts, Timmy? What are you seeing from this young core?
I mean, you've been on Christian Wood since the beginning. You wanted the Cavs to get him, but I
Yeah,
think,
I did.
I mean,
Yeah,
I absolutely agree. This Houston squad is being set up, being built by who are they being built by?
I
I'm
have
blanking.
no.
I'm blanking about his name.
I think the last GM I remember them having was like Daryl Morey, I think, and I don't even think he's there anymore. So
It's Steven Silas. It was
Steven
Paul
Silas.
Silas's
Okay.
son. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, that's cool. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so he's putting together a monster young squad. He's being built. I think Houston's being built as Nets dynasty. Honestly, them and OKC.
I mean,
That's my opinion.
they certainly could be the next version of not like a Splash Brothers thing, but the way that the Golden State started a dynasty with just two young guards just tearing everything up and no one being able to do anything about it. I think they might be the next version of that. And I know you've been high on Kevin Porter Jr. since day one, and I was there with you. But not like you. I mean, he's definitely your call. You called it with him, and yeah, as Cavs fans, God, it's I don't think I have to tell you how painful it is watching him out there. And
Oh no, not at all. That is. I mean, watching Kevin Porter Jr. blossom on a different team is basically the epitome of what it means to be a Cleveland fan.
yeah, honestly, with all Cleveland sports, is as soon as we trade a guy, they blow up somewhere else. It seems like every time.
It just embodies all just the collection of pain that Cleveland fans suffer.
And over a fucking bowl of soup of all things. A bowl of soup sent our best young prospect to Houston for a second round pick. You gotta love it.
I mean, yeah, for second round for I'm basically for
Yeah,
free.
yeah,
It was top 55
yeah.
protected. Like he was just trying to get him out of here.
That's I mean,
He wasn't
that's
even.
gonna give us the next Matt Mooney. You know, for those who aren't don't follow the Cavs closely, uh, Matt Mooney is a journeyman guard that is going to be playing two-way contracts for the rest of time, and that's about all we're getting out of a pick that we just gave up a future just dominant guard for. So, and he looks. You were telling me the other day he looks like he's about 6'7" or 6'8" now, and he's knocking down threes like it's nothing, which was the only thing he couldn't do before.
Well, he looked like he was 6'5", 6'6" already with his
With his
with
big
his
air. Yeah,
hair last year, but he legitimately grew an inch and a half, 2 inches, and he looks like he's 6'7", like a solid 6'7" out
yeah,
there, like not an NBA 6'7", like a true 6'7".
that's
And yeah, he's hitting threes. Like he went 5 for 9, I
it's
think,
hard to watch.
in a preseason game the other day, with Jalen Green also putting up buckets and having like 22 points himself.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the setup to be a dominant pairing. Like I was thinking before, we started here, who to compare them with, and I don't think they
No,
have a
no, definitely
comparison.
not. I mean, they're gonna be a they're gonna be a brand new thing, brand new phenomenon in the NBA. And if things go like they should, I mean, this is gonna be a 1-2 combo that we're gonna be talking about 20, 30 years from now. And I mean, that's asking a lot. Yeah, it's asking for a lot of things to go right. The main thing is you gotta have both guys keep their heads on straight, not get in any trouble, and the main thing is like each other. You know.
If I can comment on that, them staying out of trouble, that's what John Lucas III is there for. If you remember, that's who LeBron James dunked over
Yeah, in Miami.
when
Yeah,
he was with Miami. That's the guy, and he's been known to bring in these troublemakers and just flatten them out and make them good quality, good character guys that don't cause problems off the
and to
court.
be fair to Jalen Green, I haven't heard anything. I haven't been. I don't follow him super closely, and admittedly, but I haven't heard anything about him having any off court troubles. I mean, he seems off the court. He seems more focused about his look. You know, trying to have the coolest hairdo and the most suave look entering the stadium seems to be about his only thing he cares about off court. So that shouldn't really be a problem. But those two having chemistry and liking each other is the main thing. But boy, Jalen Green looks really nasty out of the gates here.
I mean, if we kind of dissect, individually, play by play, TP, and then Jalen Green by themselves. Jalen Green is a freakish athlete who we haven't seen. Not only does he have like a 40+ inch vertical, he also can fill up, the stat sheet and just put
Yep.
up buckets
Yep.
and like out of the gate, and something we haven't seen, and he's kind of basically paving the way for other, future players, future prospects, is he came out of the G League instead of playing college ball. So like he's the most NBA ready
Right.
out of,
Right.
that number one, number two spot. Even to Cade Cunningham, because we've seen what he can do against grown men for an entire season.
Yeah, and that's a nice it's a really nice indicator of a player's readiness. I mean, you've got the way I see it, there's two ways to be sure a guy is ready to play against grown men in the NBA. One of them being if he's old as dirt, like my guy in Indiana. What's his name? That two guard they just got that's 24 years old.
Oh, Chris Duarte.
Yes, Duarte.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
dude, he's a bucket.
Oh, I love that guy. I mean, he's just a solid sharpshooter. And he looks like he's been in the league for years because
Like
he's
24.
24. Yeah, so if it's either that or if a guy can go straight to the G League and prove that he's ready to go against grown men, you got to take that guy. I mean, I doubted Luka Doncic coming out of. Admittedly, I didn't watch much of him, but I had doubted him coming out of the Euro leagues because I was like, well, he doesn't have the athletic capabilities that a lot of NBA guys do. Like I don't know, he's not that fast. I didn't know he could shoot like he could. I didn't know he had any of the tools he
Oh,
has.
Duarte.
And I also no,
Okay,
Luca.
yeah.
And I didn't factor in that he was playing over there against grown men since he was what was it wasn't it like
Like
13 years
13 or
old he
14. Yeah,
started.
he moved out on his own at like 13 years old, and then
Yeah.
he was in the like Barcelona, I think, system
Yeah,
for like
so all of the
6 years.
Yeah, so all of the NBA GMs and presidents of basketball operations that are totally going to hear this podcast, if you see a guy balling against grown men since the time he was 13 and winning MVP at 16, that's the number one pick of the draft right there. I mean, that's that's
Well, I think we saw the last little bit of stigma from Yola Ball leave after Luca
oh
balled
yeah,
out and
oh
showed
yeah.
that he how great he is.
Yeah, I mean, after Luca, teams are just looking to the Euro leagues for the next whatever they can find. Because I mean, Denny Avdia is a good look coming out of Europe. There's just a lot of guys coming out of there that have been playing against grown men. Whereas you have guys like ours, like Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. They're still babies. They're Garland's like what 20, and Sexton's like 21, 22.
I think it's 21 and 22.
Yeah, and they are you sure Garland's even 21? Yeah,
I
yeah, he
think
probably is. But I mean, he's going
this
into
is
his
good.
third
This is
year,
good year, yeah, yeah.
and Sexton's going into his fourth, and they, it's taken them a little while to hit the ground. They definitely didn't hit the ground running. It's taken them a while to hit their stride because I mean, they should be going into their third and fourth year of college right now. They're not, and they would have been playing against, teenagers. So it just goes to show, you might get a guy that's a little older or doesn't have the tools or the normal measurables you'd go by. But if you see a guy that's just balling out against grown men, you gotta take him. That's
Yeah, and another thing about those older players is, yeah, they might be older and they might have less of a ceiling, to reach, but they're also way more polished, and we see that with Chris Duarte. And yeah, he's like
mm-hmm.
24. He's actually like, I think he's a month or two older than Booker, but
Yeah.
like the guy's an absolute. But he's a mix between like Booker and like Bradley Beal. That's my comparison. To go with.
Does he have the off dribble stuff that
Yeah,
Beal
he does.
has? Because I
Like
was seeing some Clay Thompson in
Like
him
he
a little bit.
he can put the ball on the floor for sure. Not
Yeah.
nearly to the extent that Bradley Beal does, because he's absolutely just an absolute bucket.
Yeah.
With the ball in his hands or out of his hands. Um, but Duarte, like, if you think about a rebuilding team acquiring him, is your championship window like further than 4 or 5 years? Because that's when he'd be entering his prime essentially, or like 3, 4 years down the road.
Well, and that brings up the argument with drafting. Rather than drafting need, you draft the best talent available at the
Always.
time. And so
Always.
let's say Duarte is balling out in Indiana, but they're like, okay, this guy's 24, and we're 5 or 6 years away from being something, which I don't think they are, but just as an example, I mean, you can always trade that guy to it for a team that's contending for they'll pay hand over fist or whatever the term is. They'll pay out of pocket for that. For a guy that's playing like that when they really need him, when I bet Golden State when Klay Thompson went down would have liked to trade for Duarte and given up 2 first rounders or whatever it may have been. So
Oh yeah, I mean he's a clone. He's not nearly the shooter he is, or obviously not proven like the Clay has. But I mean,
sure, sure. But I mean, he would have taken a lot of pressure off of Steph.
absolutely, and he would have put him, back in playoff contention. I
Yep,
think
a
after he
thousand
kind of
percent.
got past his rookie wall
Yeah, so
a little
teams
bit.
really need to draft talent over need if it comes to that because yeah, guys like Duarte that are going to come in and ball out are going to have instant trade value if you don't think you can keep them for a while. So, any more? Did you have any more thoughts about Houston before we switch to something else? Or
I think Steven Silas is just building a juggernaut over there. Them and OKC. And I think we'll see that
yeah,
over the next 3, 4, 5 years. Just start to dominate the league.
yeah, that's a good thing to bet. That'd be a fun thing to bet on which team is gonna be back in the playoffs first, Houston or OKC.
I think Houston will be for sure,
I don't know.
but I think OKC might have the edge.
I'm honestly leaning towards OKC only because they have more talent overall, and their main guy Shea is a lot farther along in his career than KPJ and Jalen Green. I mean, I think he's more ready to lead a team to the playoffs than they are at this point. So who knows? Obviously OKC is a few more pieces away, as is Houston, but I think overall roster talent. Just based on age alone, really, and NBA experience, I think OKC is a little closer. But Houston is going to progress faster than OKC. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing to watch there. Well, so let's transition on here to the Kyrie Irving situation. Obviously, we don't need to spend a lot of time on it. I mean, there's a million videos and articles circulating, but just to give our takes to the audience that doesn't know us that well yet, what I mean, what's your opinion on the Kyrie situation? Just as far as how the Nets are handling it, how Kyrie's handling it, just whatever just your opinion on the situation.
Well, I think the Nets organization is kind of handling it pretty poorly,
I agree. I agree.
and I think they're really trying to use their power to push him, to sway his decision, and basically force his hand. Now, if he wasn't Kyrie Irving, if he was a smaller player, he definitely get bullied into it. But I think Kyrie being who he is and making the career that he has, I think he has a little bit more
Hmm.
weight to where he can fight back a little bit.
Well, and not only that, but then yeah, well, and not only that, but the Nets have to realize who they're dealing with. Kyrie is pretty fragile mentally in the first place. I mean, the dude takes games off to like meditate and shit. So
And yeah, put stage around the court before
yeah,
games
yeah,
against
like
former teams that he played on.
and I say to each his own. If that's what he's got to do, that's what he's got to do. But that is not the guy that you want to be pushing this hard. Now, I mean, I'm not saying to coddle him either. Kyrie's kind of got the Nets nuts in a vice because he said I believe I saw something recently about he might retire if they trade him.
He commented on that. He said, he was he I think he put on his Instagram where he went live saying that at least let him have a press conference, let him speak his own word because he never said that. He said he's not going to retire just because COVID or because the league's trying to bully him into getting a vaccine. So he shut that down.
Well, did he say anything about the possible trade thing though? Because I mean that's my
I don't
next.
think he did, but that was ridiculous. That I saw that the Nets don't plan on giving him an extension because of basically how all that went down.
I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't either. I mean, I personally wouldn't want Kyrie anywhere near my team because the guy is just such a head case to deal with, and I'm not. That's how he wants to live is how he wants to live. But if you're going to be cutting the check, then you want to be cutting the check to a guy that is going to show up and be available on game day. So
I agree.
that being that being said, now the one thing I wanted to mention was the Kyrie playing half the games, not playing half the games, that situation. There's kind of two ways to look at that. On one hand, if he does play half the games, that could screw with chemistry, team chemistry, and having him be there half the time. I don't think I have to describe how many issues that could cause. That being said, the Nets point guard depth is so mediocre, and that's being a little generous. I do think
I think so. Yeah.
that honestly, I mean, half the time, half Kyrie with half chemistry is still better than a lot of their point guard depth. Now, I mean, they could run Harden at the point guard. He's one of the most underrated passers in basketball. So if they
And he
wanted
did it in Houston for several years. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so they're not strapped for they're not in a tough place where they need to put Kyrie at point guard, but I think allowing him to play half the games and all the locker room issues that could cause, it's not really worth it. But also, and this is a half joke, but also it's pretty true. Kyrie only playing half the games is about the only way he'll be healthy by the time the playoffs come around. I mean, this dude, he's got to take games to meditate. He gets injured constantly.
His
I
ankle
mean,
injuries. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise. If you think about it.
his shoulder, his ankle, his knees, like just all kinds of stuff with this guy. And yeah, so if but honestly, I if what do you think the Nets need to do here? I mean, because you can't. Let's be realistic here. You can't just, at least if you're smart, you can't just have him sit there and just sit the year out and hope that they lift those mandates in New York City.
Well, I do have an answer to your question. I know, I think Katie, I know Harden, but I think it was Katie and a few other members of the Nets were gonna meet with the mayor in Brooklyn, um, and whoever else in that state, the governor, I think, to request or try to apply or kind of like we just get that ruling that you can't play home games, get it reversed. So I think they're working on that. I was also very interested to hear that James Harden hasn't really been in contact with Kyrie about the whole vaccine situation,
That
which is
seems
very.
pretty on brand for Harden,
But
honestly.
that's I'm happy about that because
Hmm.
essentially he's saying that I'm not gonna play. I'm not gonna be a puppet for you. And I'm not gonna play counselor between Kyrie and the Nets. That's the Nets and that's Kyrie's deal. That's not mine. No,
Yeah, well, and that also, I mean, that's just uh seems pretty on brand for him. I mean, he's just like, you know what, I'm here to do my job and ball. I'm here to put up 30 points, 15 assists, and like five boards or whatever
no
on a
matter
bunch
what
of
shape I'm
crazy.
in.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Looking like an uncle that sticks his fork in your plate at a barbecue or being jacked. Either way, he's gonna give you that. So, yeah, I mean, he's there to do his thing. He's not a very, uh, not at all an outgoing person. It seems like so. I don't think he's gonna put it on himself to go and get in Kyrie and the Nets business. He's just gonna show up for work and do what he can to win.
And yeah, I don't think he's really try to intervene any conflicts in team conflicts in the past. So I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty on brand.
The man, I bet the Nets are missing Spencer Dinwiddie right about now, huh?
Yeah, I mean he's over in Washington now.
That's what I thought it was. Didn't he do a thing like, hey, fans pick my next team, like, and he did like a poll and people voted for where he signed?
I mean maybe
I
that
thought I could
seems
have sworn
vaguely familiar.
I could have sworn I saw something about that,
If
and
he did, that'd be amazing.
be hilarious, although pretty stupid for his career. I mean, he must be content with just showing up and playing ball. He doesn't seem to care about winning. Because if I were him, like, I'd go to. I mean, if he wants to win, obviously he could just join the Lakers or the freaking uh, what was the other team? The Bucks.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, or dude, imagine if he went to Miami. He'd
I'm
have been
imagining it's. I mean, it's okay. I
he'd
mean,
have
I
been
don't think
great there.
Miami's a contender at this time.
I think they could have been if well, so if Tyler Hero, and I think this gives us a good chance to transition on to our Miami topic here. If Tyler Hero can keep up this level of ball that he's been putting out on in preseason, Miami could be something. I mean, Jimmy Butler's a good leader down the stretch in games and in the playoffs. Bam is a solid player. They've got, I think, they lost some depth with Kendrick Nunn.
He went to
But
LA.
yeah, yeah,
He's one of the thousand players that trying to
that
get a free
can't.
over in with the Lakers.
Right. Yep. And they re-signed Duncan Robinson, right?
Yeah, yeah, they beat him up.
And they have Kyle Lowry.
He'll
What
be
I
good. I
what
think
all?
him and Jimmy Butler will be a really nice pair. They
Yeah,
both gonna have that dog fight in them. I think Kyle Lowry's a little bit on that more quieter side, and then Jimmy's a little bit more emotional. But I think they'll mesh well.
I think Kyle Lowry's kind of the same attitude that I have when we're out on the court together. I think he's kind of quiet and he's out there to just be a silent assassin. But then if he needs to speak his mind or speak up or get in one of his teammates' asses, he's not afraid to do that either. So
Yeah, he's just a roly poly little dinosaur. I see his face and I think of like some kind of dinosaur. It was a Disney movie called Dinosaurs. I think he looks
oh yeah.
exactly like that, the main character.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but I kind of
I
see
think
what
his
you're
name was
getting at there.
Andor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was,
Yeah.
that was the lead dinosaur's name. I said Andor. But he looked exactly like him. I can't. I mean, and he was a raptor, so I mean,
Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah. But what? I'm not. You know what? Admittedly, I don't remember the rest of their depth. What other options does Miami have off the bench besides Duncan Robinson?
I honestly don't know.
Me neither. Well, you know what? Hold on. Let me. This is a chaos podcast. Let me look up their roster real quick. You listeners at home get to hear my typing, my horrible poke typing. It's
All right,
something
well,
else.
I pulled up here. They did pick up Deadman. I like that pickup. He
Dwayne
played
Dedman,
for
yeah.
he played for Atlanta. I was a big
Oh,
fan of
bro, I forgot about this. They got the goat. You got Udonis Haslam. They're
him.
set.
He's
They're
played
all
like
set.
he's played like 3 minutes for the season in each of like the last like 4 seasons.
Yeah, I mean he's out there. He's coaching.
I think he's redefining what a player coach is for NBA.
Really.
He's taking what like player managers do, what back in the day was baseball, and now what they do in soccer, and they're
Oh,
trying to take that concept and apply it to basketball.
hey, that's right. I forgot about this one. PJ Tucker is going to be their starting power forward. I couldn't remember who it was going to be. But he's going to be out there playing defense, and then
Dude,
Lowry, Hero, Butler, and Bam are going to do the scoring.
I'm looking at this roster, man. This is not a contender.
I don't, dude. Well,
Let me
if
let me
that,
read it. Let me read it for you. You probably have your starting lineup is probably Adebayo, J
we'll
Butts,
go 1 through 5.
Butler.
Go 1 through 5. Kyle
Have you,
Lowry, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, Bam.
and
Does
yeah,
that sound
Bam.
right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then you have
But then
Oladipo off the bench,
Markeith
Duncan
Morris.
Robinson, sure, Morris, and
Dude,
Dead.
I mean, that's a decent. And there's another guy on here I thought I saw.
That's like the 6th, 7th seed in my opinion. Maybe 5th because remember
They should
you have
squeeze.
Indiana and the Bulls too, on top of, the Sixers,
Right, right.
Milwaukee,
I don't
Atlanta.
do we think Indiana is going to be that good this year? I mean, I think they're going to be pretty solid. I really like Karis LeVert and Sabonis.
The bonus is it keeps on getting better every year, man. He's one of
Yeah,
the most underrated players in the league.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I don't. So this Miami team, I think I'm not. I wasn't. I'm not necessarily going contender here, but I mean they could absolutely be one of those sleeper teams that claws their way to the East Finals. Just with grit, you know. I mean, I'm expecting a big year out of Kyle Lowry. I really am, and Tyler Hero as well.
I expect I think Kyle Lowry is like 32, 33. He's getting up there, but
35.
okay, yeah, 35.
But his play style, I mean, age isn't really shouldn't really mess with his play style too much. I mean, he just plays smart ball and he knocks down threes when you need him to. And
Wouldn't think, but those smaller guards, they always I mean, besides the Chris Paul, they always
yeah,
typically age pretty badly.
well, man, what didn't
And yeah, Brooklyn, man. Yeah, Brooklyn. Let me do that for you. You got the Celtics, Nets, Knicks, Sixers, Bulls,
I think the Celtics are
Pacers,
going to achieve quite a bit this year.
Sixers. Yeah, I think so. Unless
No,
unless
no.
they're able.
Oh yeah, definitely the second. No, I'm saying the Celtics. I don't think are going to be what they're supposed to be.
I don't know. I think they'll be better than how they finished last year because they'll have Jalen Brown back.
Yeah, yeah. Oh well, yeah. He was hurt a lot of last year, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
and that would have been a fun matchup in round one. Celtics and Nets, but Jalen Brown
Yeah.
was down.
Yeah. And yeah, have you seen those videos of him in the off season knocking down shots off the dribble and stuff? Like it's nothing. Like his biggest weakness before, he's just knocking them down like it was nothing.
Well, his offensive game was a bit his weakness before. And now
And now it's like one
he's
of
a
his biggest
yeah
strengths.
he's transformed his game completely.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Okay. So I. All right. Well, I mean, we could. All right. You know what? You know what? Stay tuned, folks. You're gonna get our way too early playoff bracket. We'll get that out next week or something like that. So you guys just stay tuned for that. We're gonna stick to these teams today.
Yeah, sounds good.
um. I mean, do you have any more comments about Miami or?
No, I mean, Eric Spoelstra always makes him play hard, play solid, play smart. So they won't miss the playoffs or anything like that. You know, but it depends on how Kyle Lowry does, and it depends if Hero can bounce back because since the bubble, he hasn't been nearly the same player that he was.
And you know what? Credit to side note, credit to Coach Spo for keeping his job as long as he has. I mean, that's tough in the NBA to head coaches. His Miami has had their ups and downs, and usually GMs freak out and fire the coach after a bad season or two. But
Like the Cavs did
you
with
know,
Ty Lue.
yeah, well, yeah. Or how about John Beeline? I mean, they ran him out of town
For half a season.
for no good reason. Yeah,
But
I
yeah, definitely hats off to Spoelstra. I think he proved, post bid 3 era that he can, he's a real coach. And he's a damn good one.
yeah.
Because he
Yeah.
he continued to make decent teams fight hard each and every night.
Well, and Pat Riley has done a damn good job of putting players on on Spoelstra's teams that are willing to work with their coach, like not hotheads that the minute something goes wrong, they're blaming the coach and they won't listen to him. I mean, you got a lot of guys out there that are willing to work within a system.
Or he's taken what perceived hotheads like Jimmy Butler and made him fit into the system, and
Hmm.
lead the way. Which, is
Yeah.
really, good to see, and, that's hats off to, the stability of that organization.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, And then I think the next team we want to touch here on is I think is Golden State,
I think
but
it's the last team we wanna talk on, right?
yeah, that'll we'll wrap up with that. But let's just real quick since it's in the news right now. What do you think of the Ben Simmons situation?
I think I agree with Kobe, when he said with Ben Simmons, he can be as good as he wants to be, as and has however much work he puts in. And I think you've seen that Ben Simmons doesn't care about putting work in, because there are players that had awful jump shots and have came out and been more turned their jump shots into more you know better than average, better than respectable. I think Lonzo Ball is, a good example of that. Yeah, for sure.
It's a good example of that for sure. Yeah. Now here's the thing with Ben Simmons. I haven't paid a lot of attention to what he does in the off season. I've heard people saying he refuses to work on it on his jump shot. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, I've definitely seen videos of him working on his jumper. I mean, who knows?
You can
That
do
could
that.
be
You can do
that
that
could
one
just
session.
be
Yeah,
smoke screen. Like he goes in. Yeah, it looks. He might have went in one session and put up 100 shots, 200 shots, and then said, "Wow, look at this! I'm working hard." But I think a lot of, I mean, as you know, shooting is so mental, and I think that's a big issue that Ben Simmons is having. Is he's just got this horrible, he's got the yips,
yeah, for sure.
like a second baseman that can't throw it to first. He's freaking out. When every time he raises for his jump shot, I think it's very present in his mind that he's like, I just, oh, I've never been a shooter. I don't think I practiced enough. I don't know if I can make this. And then,
Well, I think his stagnation,
clang.
with
So
his willingness to work on his jump shot and just to try to shoot has really been evident because
and his form is tough, man. It's not
it's really bad. But have you seen the footage of him shooting right-handed? It looks completely natural.
really.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know the story at all, but he was actually born right-handed, and he does everything with the right hand except for shoot, basically, and play basketball. And the idea behind that, his dad wanted him to become ambidextrous, be able to use both hands,
Sure, sure.
identically.
Yeah, my
But the
grandfather
problem
did
with
that with
that
my
is
dad, and I totally get it. Yeah.
the problem with that is his right hand is so much more naturally that even just not shooting with the right hand his entire life, you've seen, just a few shots just messing around, we do that, basketball players just mess around with the opposite hand, shooting and all
Sure.
that stuff occasionally. You've seen footage of him just shooting free throws, pure as day, man, no hitches, no nothing. And even with his confidence with, his normal jump shot, his left-handed shot, you saw, when he was coming into the league in, like, the summer league, yeah, as a rookie or as, like, a second-year guy, he was pulling the shots, like, he just doesn't pull the shots anymore.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even look for 'em, like,
I mean, he's
seeing
not
him
even
in
looking for
year
wide
1 and
open
year
dunks up to the
2.
basket, so
Oh, yeah, he's afraid to participate on offense besides, facilitating,
well, so
and that's probably the most scary part about it.
that's tough. I had no idea about that. His right-handedness. I had no idea about that. So that's a weird spot to be in cuz he's about what, 24, 25?
Yeah, he's, like, 24, man. He came into the league, like, 18.
Right,
He's been
right.
in yeah.
Um so that's a okay, so see that presents another issue there though. Is it too late to start trying to change, I mean, to be, because if we want the goal is for his jump shot to become a legitimate enough threat to the other team that they have to respect it and open up his drive, right?
Yeah, I think the goal is, to reach what Lonzo Ball has reached, you
Oh, he'll
know?
never. I mean, I cannot ever see Ben Simmons getting to be a 40% free throw shooter, or 3-point shooter rather.
But I'm saying that's your goal, that's what you're aiming for.
I mean,
But
yeah, but he's got to be able to knock it down if they leave him wide open. That's the main thing. But at
he's
the,
gotta be able to shoot it
is
if they
it?
leave him wide open. That's the baseline you need to have.
Yeah, but you got to make them before, because I mean they'll be glad to let you shoot them if you're not making them. But is it a little too late now in his career to
Never too late, man.
switch over to his
Never
right?
too late. But Brook Lopez never shot. He shot like three threes his entire career for his first like 7 or 8 years,
Sure, no, sure,
and
I
all of a
get
sudden
that,
now he
but
shoots 35%.
and I get that, but we're talking about completely transitioning to shooting with his other hand. I mean, obviously it might be more natural for him, but that's like that is countless gym hours and
That's all it comes down to, man, is how badly does he want it?
yeah, I mean
And
that's a
the
thought is
situation, I can only the
it
way I kinda look at this situation, I can only think of what happened with, Markelle Fultz, like, does he have a weird uncle that just, like, refuses to, put him on the right path and is constantly just, making his, um, career in the NBA that much more difficult, or does he really just not care? Is he just a modern NBA player who just wants to get, money and take his paycheck and, punch, his ticket?
yeah. Um well, so the other thing that could be a good news about if he transitions to shooting right-handed would be he could build it up in his head like, oh, see, I was doing it wrong the whole time. And then like that could give him a little confidence because when he's on his way up for the shot, he could be like, in the back of his mind, be like, I got a way better chance because I'm using my natural hand here, rather than thinking about, oh man, I never been able to make these. The whole thing I was saying before with his
Right,
left hand.
yeah, it almost kinda like you hit the reset button because you started with a different hand,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
you know?
mean, he should. Yeah, they should definitely look into trying that and try to build it up in his mind that when he shoots right-handed, he gets a little confidence boost from it being more natural. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, I think they have to at least try to get him in the building first, but more likely than not, I think if that scenario happens, it'll be with Ben Simmons wearing a different jersey.
Have you been seeing all these articles lately that he's like as good as he's as good as coming back? Like they're saying he's essentially it's gonna happen that he's gonna come back and play for Philly.
Well, yeah, I think it'll happen, but I don't think he'll stay there.
I was
It'll eventually be a trade.
I was gonna say I think he's gonna go out there and be playing for them, and I think he's gonna get booed by his own fans a lot,
Oh, absolutely. Philly
and
fans
they're
are
brutal.
very yeah, they're brutal, but they're very passionate. And you don't give a shit about your team, they'll let you know that.
Oh yeah,
And you're
yeah. I'm
not
not
playing
shitting
well,
on
they'll
them.
let
I'm
you know
not
that. Yeah.
definitely not shitting on the Philly fans. I just mean they're not messing around. Wait, dude, we got on a
No,
side
I
note.
love
We got to go
look,
to a Sixers game, man.
we do, man. That atmosphere it has to be insane.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. But yeah, no, they don't take any shit. Those those crazy asses booed Santa Claus. I mean, you know about that?
What?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it was halftime of an Eagles game or something around Christmas time. They brought out a guy dressed as Santa at the halftime thing to like spread cheer or whatever, and they booed his ass off the field. So yeah, oh yeah, no, Philly doesn't mess around. So I think they might boo Simmons right out of Philly.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, if they boost Santa, then, no one's off limits.
oh yeah.
No, but
What?
I mean, that's a
Okay.
great point. I'd bet money on, the first time Ben Simmons steps on the court this year that
Oh,
he get food.
oh no, that's like that's
It's a
happening.
given. Yeah, that
Yeah,
must be, like, freaking whatever, minus, 2,000 at this point
yeah,
on the
yeah,
pay line.
absolutely. And so when they do inevitably trade him, I'm sure they will. I mean, where the hell is he gonna go and fit? I mean, I can't. There's all this talk about him going to Portland, but that doesn't make any sense because Damian Lillard is so damn ball dominant, and so is Simmons. I don't see Simmons playing an off ball role when he needs to facilitate. And you can't take the ball out of Dame's hands because his whole offensive game is just controlling the ball up top and having guys set picks for him and stuff till he can get one of those crazy looks from fucking, 30 feet
Right?
out
I mean,
and drain it.
I mean, one, I have a few things here. One, I think it's just gonna be a hypothetical. That's all it's ever gonna get. I think Portland has, shown that Philly's asking price is way higher than they value Ben Simmons. Now, what you're just describing to me
Sure.
sounds like you'd fit really well with Denver. You got a bunch of passers on
But
that team.
then right, but Ben Simmons needs to be the main ball dominant passer, and you can't have him taking the ball out of Jamal Murray's hands
Or, Jokic.
because Jamal Murray gets a lot of his looks the same way Lillard does.
I think you can find balance there.
What about Utah? Because Donovan Mitchell is not that isn't he's a two guard and he's comfortable being off ball, and you could
But I think he's best with the ball in his hand.
Donovan Mitchell.
I really think he is.
Well, and they could trade off possessions, right? But the fact that he doesn't
That
have to
might be a
have
good
it in
fit.
his hands at
Yeah,
all
that's
times,
probably
like
a
the
better
other
fit
guys
than
we've mentioned. Yeah, and they could also give a hell of a playoff ready
which is the
package
biggest
return to
issue with a
Philly.
lot of these hypotheticals.
They could give with
Fair point.
exactly, yeah, and let's be real here. Simmons to a non contender is ridiculous. Like they said, Minnesota and the Cavs are the only ones in on Philly, or I mean, in on Ben Simmons. And what the hell is he going to do there? Him and Cat are not going to drag the T Wolves to the finals or anything like that. He's certainly not doing that in Cleveland, even though it'd be. I mean, as a Cavs fan, I'd like to see it, but it's
With
not
either
doesn't
of
make
those
any
teams, he
sense. And
would be an
then,
upgrade, but it all depends on if Ben Simmons has
sure, yeah,
any say whatsoever in the trading process, which I don't think he will have.
and
I
that's
don't know if
another
I'm
thing.
not sure if he has a trade clause or not.
Right.
I doubt it. However, I that it all depends on that. So I think Philly should very much say, screw you, Ben Simmons. We were trying to play nice, but now you're acting like a jackass. So we're gonna send you to
And now
Sacramento.
you're going to
You
the
live out the
Washington
next 5
Wizards.
years of career just
Yeah.
dying over there, and then just get back
Yeah, or
either a couple
Detroit
first
or
round
something.
picks or the most helpful veteran slash ready young talent they can to help them continue to be in win now mode.
Oh, and real quick, I just mentioned Detroit. I forgot. Detroit has been one of those teams where
Not
you send a
anymore.
guy to punish him, but now, no, Detroit's looking
I don't
up. Yeah,
remember
finally,
the
good for
GM's
them.
name, but he
Um,
has been putting in some work the last 2 years.
nice to see, man. Nice to see. Just real quick, because it got my mind revved up thinking about it. What would that trade package from Utah be to Philly? I mean, I think like Mike Conley and maybe either Joe Ingles
If
or
you're Utah,
Bogdanovich, and then
you're absolutely trading Ingles over Bogdanovich every day of the week. Bogdanovich has been
yeah,
Bogdanovich
all
was
day.
brought
Yeah,
over
yeah.
there
You want to keep
because Ingles can't do what Ingles was there to do. So Bogdanovich is there to take his job
right.
essentially and just do it better.
So if you okay, so a lot of these trades, like you'll see Screaming A. Smith trying to just will a trade into existence by screaming. He'll be like, "Listen, I don't understand why you can't just send Ben Simmons to Portland for CJ McCollum. That he needs to go to Portland." And it's like, okay, we get what you get. We get that you want him there, Stephen A. But what the hell is Portland going to give up? And that's a terrible fit. Now, in this scenario that we've concocted, this makes sense. There's guys on Utah that can win now in Philly, and obviously I think Ben Simmons fits in Utah. Would you? We got the thing is,
While
a
also
lot of these
having
guys that
good fits
propose
for both
trades.
teams, which is again one of the hardest parts to do in
That's
today's
yeah.
competitive.
That's what I was gonna say. A lot of these guys that propose these trades and try to will them into existence are just they're looking at it from one side, from one GM's perspective. But if you're
One-sided.
Philly,
Yeah.
you got to be fair and look at what Philly's getting back at this. So if you're Philly, would you give up Ben Simmons for Mike Conley, Joe Ingles, and picks, or are you gonna ask or what do you need to get another like a role bench guy? Like, do you need Jordan Clarkson? Do you
I
need
think you have to throw someone
Monte
in there.
Morris or Monte Morris? I'm sorry, Monte
Utah's
Morris
not
is in
giving up
Denver, right?
Clarkson is that deal. They just re-signed him.
Did they?
I think you'd have to do Conley, um, Ingles.
Who's Utah's equivalent of Monte Morris? I
You know
keep
what?
because I always mix them up.
If I'm Philly, I want the first two guys we mentioned, Ingles and Conley, and then I'd say
Hmm.
throw in Royce O'Neal, and it would give you a couple
That's
picks back.
okay. That's what I
If
was
I'm
thinking
Philly,
of.
that's
Royce
the deal
O'Neal
because then I
is,
have Royce O'Neal, guarding perimeter defenders, as well as Matisse Thybulle, and that's a really good
and
defensive.
isn't and Conley's an underrated defender on the perimeter, right?
Yeah, and he's
Is that
really
a
solid.
thing?
He's had several all defensive team awards. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, and
you're recovering a lot of that defensive prowess that you get from Simmons.
yeah, and yeah, that's I mean that's I think that's got to be the move for both teams. That's
And I think I mean, I think it's a really good scenario that we just concocted. And I think um Utah just they grabbed a couple of young guards. Yeah, Jared Butler in the second round. That guy is an absolute stud. He's kind of doing. I think a little bit what Clarkson is, but not as tall. And then they brought in Eric Pascal as well. They picked him up
From
from
Golden State.
Golden
Wow.
State.
Okay, that's nice for Utah. I didn't know that.
So I mean, like you're kind of swapping talent, and then just replacing that, you know, Conley and Angels with more star power.
Hmm.
You know, if because I think at this point with Ben Simmons, he's at the lowest trade value you can possibly have of a player. Kind of like the same idea with Lloyd Martin and Porzingis the last like year and a half.
Well, I mean,
Yep.
his trade value is weird because Philly is like, dude, we've got this guy under contract and we think we can work it out with him. So if you want him, you got to give us, a hell of a return here. And other teams, I don't think other teams are unwilling to do that. It's just they want to be damn sure he fits their system. But I think, yeah, I think Utah, dude, just Ben Simmons just driving dishing to Donovan Mitchell and Bogdanovich or Joker, like they literally could run a lineup where he's the only non-shooter out there. I mean, you could.
Oh yeah, because they have scores all
Can
over
you
the place.
imagine Ben
Yeah,
Simmons like picking pops or picking rolls with Joker, and then if that gets cut off, they kick it out to Ben
and
to
PJ. Yeah,
Donovan Mitchell or oh my gosh, and oh damn it, I'm talking
I
about the
said
Nuggets, aren't I?
he fits in Denver. He fits in Denver, and he fits in
Right,
Utah.
those teams are so easy to mix up. Holy shit. Okay, Ben Simmons pick and rolls with Rudy Gobert is what I meant to say,
Yeah, and you just have shooters. You have
and
Bogdanovich
Mitchell,
and
yeah.
Mitchell on the wings and
And what?
corners.
Who's the power forward for Utah? Is it still Paul Millsap, or was he?
No, he's over in actually Denver
Oh
right now.
damn it! Here we go. See, did it again.
I think he was in. No, wait, I think he was in Denver. I think he's somewhere else now.
Sheesh.
Hold on. Let
Yeah.
me look
What
up.
is the? Who the hell? What is this Utah roster? I
Yeah,
apologize to our
he's with
many
the Nets now.
fans that we haven't been doing our
Paul
research.
Millsap is with the Nets now. I knew he
Oh,
was with
that's
some
right.
weird team.
You. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a thing that happened. All right. Well, let's look up this Utah roster really quickly and squeeze. So let's just knock this out real quick because I gotta know. Oh right, okay. Pascal, he's gonna definitely. Dude, Utah's Rudy Gay. Good for
yeah, and
them.
they also picked up Hassan Whiteside.
Hassan Whiteside, dude. Utah is
Yeah, that's man.
Utah is looking pretty nice, man.
There's a the NBA is looking really talented right now. There's a lot of balanced
Hmm.
teams. The one problem with that is you have Brooklyn and you have the Lakers just screwing the entire balance of the NBA
Yeah,
up.
well, that's the
If it wasn't for them, there would be like a solid 8 teams that could crack at the championship every
well,
year.
as Michael Rappaport said once in an angry rant, that's the friends and family AAUification of the NBA. So you just got to deal with it
Essentially,
as it goes.
I want. I mean, me and you both agree with this. There needs to be more competition, and less buddy friendships on and off the
Yeah,
court.
that's why in my opinion at least, even though these guys are more skilled, I think 90s players would eat their lunch cuz they're just so much more competitive and they're willing to do what it takes to win. Um that's a I mean that's another discussion for another day, but I just think like the best players in the 90s, I'm not even necessarily saying that they would beat them, but they would I don't I, they would seriously be in the heads of these guys nowadays if they were to somehow go through a time portal and play each other. They'd be having a tough time.
To kind of put what you're saying into a little bit more layman's terms, you're just saying the '90s for what they lack in skill, they made up for in heart and like passion and love for the game.
And just competitiveness,
But, and
like
that would kind of even things out.
yep, absolutely,
I can agree with that for sure.
yeah.
I think
Um,
that's a note to end on.
well, all right, that has been After Dark, folks. We will see you the next night that we release a video. Keep your eyes peeled.